Okay, real question. You've seen the Bible your whole life. Maybe there's one in your house right now, sitting on a shelf collecting dust. But have you ever actually stopped and asked, who wrote it? Like, who physically sat down and wrote it? Because, I promise you, the answer is way stranger than just God did. So let's start with what we actually know. And what we know is kind of insane. This one book, it wasn't written by one guy. It was written by around 40 of them. 40 different authors spread across 1,500 years. Kings, shepherds, a doctor, a tax collector, fishermen who could barely spell their own names, different countries, different languages. And here's the kicker. Most of them never met. They couldn't have. Some lived centuries apart, and yet somehow they all wrote one story. One! And nobody can fully explain how. But okay, let's be fair. The obvious answer is people wrote it. Real people, real ink, real hands, real fingerprints on history. There's Moses wandering a desert, David, a shepherd kid who becomes a king, writing songs in the dark, Paul scratching out letters from inside a prison cell. Luke, an actual doctor, running around interviewing witnesses like some first century journalist. These weren't mystical wizards, okay? They were farmers, outsiders, which is exactly where the skeptic leans in and goes, see, men wrote it, just men, and men lie, men forget. Men rewrite the story to make themselves the hero, and you know what? That's fair. That's a fair hit. So let's actually test it, because if a bunch of guys sat down to invent a religion and make themselves look good, they did a terrible job, like historically bad. Think about it. Every other legend, every national myth makes its heroes look amazing. The Bible does the opposite. Its greatest king, an adulterer and a murderer. Its founding fathers, liars and cowards. Its number one guy, the lead apostle, flat out denies he even knows Jesus 3 times. And they wrote it down. They kept it in. Who does that? You don't bury your heroes in their worst moment unless you're not trying to sell a hero. Unless you're just trying to tell the truth. But hold on, maybe it got changed, right? I mean, 1,500 years, copied by hand, over and over, whispered down generation after generation. Surely the message drifted. That's a real fear. And honestly, for the longest time, we couldn't prove it either way, until 1947. A kid, a shepherd boy, bored out of his mind, throws a rock into a cave near the Dead Sea and hears something shatter. He climbs in, and there are these old clay jars, and inside them, scrolls, ancient ones. One of them is the book of Isaiah, sealed in the dark for 2,000 years. So scholars hold their breath, and they compare it, word for word, to the copies we already had. Copies written 1,000 years later. 1,000 years of hand copying in between. And the difference? Almost nothing. It hadn't drifted. It had been guarded. And then archaeology shows up. And it just keeps finding the Bible's fingerprints in the dirt. Cities skeptics swore never existed, dug up. Kings everyone wrote off as fairy tales until their names show up carved into stone. Over and over, this book keeps passing tests it was never supposed to survive. But here's where it stops being history and starts getting kind of spooky. Come back to that number. 40 authors. 1,500 years. People separated by centuries, oceans, languages, who could not have coordinated if they tried.
And every single one of them is somehow telling the same story. A story that opens in a garden and ends in a city of light. One thread running through all of it, a promise, a person showing up right on time.
It's like 40 musicians each got handed one line of music, alone, in different rooms, in different centuries, and when you finally play it all together, it's a symphony. Which brings us to what the Bible actually claims about itself, and it doesn't hide it. It says, yeah, the words came from men, real personalities you can still feel in the text, but it says something else was moving underneath their hands. There's one phrase for it. 2 words. God breathed. Not dictated like a robot taking notes. Breathed. The way you breathe into an instrument. So the sound is the instrument saying, but the breath is coming from somewhere else. 2 authors, human hands, divine breath. That's the claim. And look, you don't have to buy it. Not yet. But just notice what happened here. We walked in asking who wrote it. And the deeper we dug, the more the question turned around and pointed back at us, because a letter always has 2 ends, right? Someone who writes it and someone it's written to. And the wildest claim in this whole book isn't even about its author. It's that across all those centuries, through all those hands, it was being written to you. So who really wrote the Bible? Men did. That part's true. But if even a fraction of the rest is real, then those men were holding the pen and someone else was holding them. And the only way you'll ever find out which is to actually open the one book that's been quietly begging you not to close it.